Hello everyone, welcome to Med Diaries. I am Takshika Jairasa, second year medical student, Faculty of Medicine, University of Jaffna. Today I am going to give an explanation regarding the upper and lower motor neuron lesion. Before going into that, you have to know some basic ideas related to that. First, you have to know about sensory system and motor system. If you take the sensory system, the axon from the specific receptors are connected to the corresponding neuron in the spinal cord. From there, the impulses going up to the primary sensory cortex. If you take the cerebral hemisphere, this is the one central sulcus, this is postcentral sulcus. The postcentral sulcus is the one representing the primary sensory cortex. Let's have a look on the sensory transmission. The somatic sensory nerve have the cell body in the dorsal root ganglion. The axon enters through the dorsal root and synaps in the dorsal gray matter. They involve in the reflexes and also transmit to the higher center. Some group of sensations are carried out through different pathways. For an example, pain, temperature, crude touch or those sensations cross in the same spinal segment and ascend in the spinothalamic tract. In that, pain, temperature for those sensations are carried out via lateral spinothalamic tract. Pressure and crude touch carried out via anterior spinothalamic tract. If you take fine touch, proprioception, vibration and two-point discrimination, for those sensations are ascend to brain via dorsal column pathway in the same site without synapse up to medulla. For all these sensations, the second order neuron synapse in the thalamus. From the thalamus, third order neuron will go up to the primary sensory cortex, which I have already shown you. Sensory fibers in spinal cord are arranged in different layers. The spinothalamic fibers from lower part are outermost and upper one placed in inner layer. You can easily remember like that: Sri Lanka Telecom, sacral, lumbar, thoracic and cervical. For dorsal column, you have to put the Sri Lanka Telecom like this. So here, the fibers from the lower part are most medial. Finally, these sensations are represented in somatosensory area. If you see this picture, red color one is precentral sulcus, blue one is postcentral sulcus. Postcentral sulcus represents the primary sensory area. In this commenculus, you can see the representations of different areas of the body. Hand and face has large area because they are highly sensitive area. So, many axons are coming from there. Hope you all get overall idea about the sensory system. Now, let's have a look onto the motor system. The motor output may be reflex or voluntary action. If you take the reflex, those will be finished within the spinal cord. The reflex have 5 components: receptor, afferent, center, efferent and effector. In stretch reflex, muscle spindle are stimulated by stretch of the skeletal muscle. Gamma motor neuron is the one responsible for them. So, that is the one maintaining the tone of the muscle. Afferent excite the anterior horn cell. The output from the anterior horn cell causes contraction of the skeletal muscle. The alpha motor neuron is the one responsible for that. And one thing you have to know, the intrafusal fibers is responsible for sensation of the stretch. Then the extrafusal fibers for muscle contraction. Now we are going to have a look at the cortical involvement. Cortical spinal fibers coming from the motor cortex to the spinal cord are mainly responsible for voluntary movement. To do an action, 4 different cortical areas involved in the cerebral hemisphere level. Those are primary motor area, supplementary motor area, premotor area, and then posterior parietal cortex. Now you have to do an action. The supplementary motor cortex involved in programming the motor sequence of that action. The premotor cortex is the one set appropriate posture before and during that action. The primary motor area is the one activate the appropriate muscle to do the final action. The posterior parietal cortex is the one important for sensory coordination, that is eye-hand coordination. Axon from pyramidal cells descend through internal capsule and brainstem and then decussate in the medulla. These fibers call it as pyramid. These crossed fibers descend in the lateral corticospinal tract and then synapse with the anterior horn cell, which control fine-scale movement of distal limb. The uncrossed fibers descend in the ventral corticospinal tract, which control axial and proximal limb muscle. One thing you have to know, the motor movement will be controlled by extrapyramidal tract in the spinal cord level. Now we are going to have a look on low motor neuron lesion. The nerve directly innervate to the muscle is going to be cut here. So alpha and gamma motor neuron has go. The gamma motor neuron is the one maintaining the tone of the muscle. Tone means resistant to stretch. So here gamma motor neuron has go. So flaccidity will be occur. The alpha motor neuron has go. There is no motor movement. So paralysis will be occur. Here the lower motor neuron has go. So there is no reflexes. Due to partial damage to the anterior horn cell, so anterior horn cell can hyperexcitable. So you can see the fasciculation. Here the lower motor neuron is cut. So muscle fibers is getting activated not by the motor nerve but by circulating acetylcholine. So you can see the fibrillation. And when impulses go through the nerve, the growth factors also will be stimulated. So here there is nerve cutoff. So the muscle wasting occur. Now let's move on to upper motor neuron lesion. Here in this lesion, above the anterior horn cell, the descending fibers are not able to interfere with the anterior horn cell. Here the anterior horn cell is fully functional, but there is no upper control. Usually for a motor activity, there will be inhibitory action by upper control. So now this inhibitory action won't be there. So the hyperreflexia and hypertonia you can see in this lesion. Here the reflex can occur but there is no upper control. So very much exaggerated reflex you can see here. In this lesion, direct nerve innervation will be there. So no muscle wasting occur. And positive Da Vinci's sign you can observe in this patient due to no connection between pyramidal tract and anterior horn cell due to this lesion. When you stroke in the sole by blunt object, you can see the flattening out movement in this patient. But normally the plantar flexion should be there. That's all for today. Please like, subscribe and keep following our med diaries.